Good morning. This is John from the Springs Mennonite Church, and I'm here today to share another random scripture devotional with you. This one comes out of John chapter 14. Now, this is the place where Jesus starts to talk about him leaving. And people that you care about, when they leave, that's difficult. Now, often, but not always, often the person who's leaving is a little more excited about it because they're going somewhere. The people who get left, well, it's just sort of an empty, hollow feeling. And I've done both. And sometimes I've been excited about where I'm going, and sometimes I haven't quite been. But this is a story, this is a passage from John chapter 14. And just before Jesus speaks, Judas, not Judas Iscariot, the other Judas, says to Jesus this: Lord, why are you going to reveal yourself only to us and not to the world at large? And then we get to verse 23. And here's Jesus' answer to his question. All who love me will do what I say. My Father will love them, and we will come and make our home with each of them. It's hard for us to understand those early disciples. It's hard for us to realize that they walked with Jesus, they ate with him, they talked to him, they clowned around with him for 3 years of his adult life. And then as they live this time, they see miracles, they see wonderful teachings, they see opposition. They know the religious leaders are most unhappy with Jesus, and they think about the idea of the Romans, and maybe this is the Messiah who's going to overthrow the Romans. And they have all kinds of thoughts. And one of the thoughts they have by the nearing end of the 3 years is, what's going to happen next? So Judas asked this question. He says, why are you not going to reveal yourself to the whole world? Well, granted, when he says the whole world, he's got a very narrow picture of what the whole world looks like. Today we have a better picture, and I guess I would like to ask him the same question. Why don't you just show yourself to everybody and help them to understand? But Jesus's technique, if you will, is very different from what the disciples are thinking. And his methodology of living with us is different than most of us think. So here's what he says. Let me read it again. All who love me will do what I say. Well, what did he say? Well, go back and read that some, if you will, in the Gospel of John. There are a lot of things, both before this passage and afterwards, of things that he said. And they all kind of boil down to Matthew's two greatest commandments. Love the Lord your God with all your heart and love your neighbor as yourself. Being caring towards others is clearly the theme of Jesus' life and ministry. Oh, yeah, there's accountability. You can't just do whatever you want to do. But this notion of respecting people and loving them and being with them and wanting them to choose to voluntarily, wholeheartedly walk with God is the theme, the main theme. And I don't know whether you've paid attention to the main theme or not. If you haven't, well, listen a little further and maybe something will trigger a response from you, or just keep listening, or get in the Bible yourself and read it. You don't have to take my word for it. Just read it and see what Jesus says. But he says if anybody will love me, they'll do what I tell them, what I've talked about. Now, this is a statement of fact. It's not I'm going to beat you over the head. You better do what I say, like some preachers and some groups talk about. This is more like, hey, if you really love me, you'll come along board and let me be in charge of your life. And then he goes on to say another part of this. He says, my Father will love them. Who's the them? Those who do what Jesus says. And we, the Father and the Son, we will come and make our home with each of them. Think about that for a minute. The creator of the universe, him himself, no substitute, no secondhand actor, the one, the big one, as some have said in the movies, has said, you do what Jesus tells you, and I will come and I will make my home with you. I've tried to live my faith for a long time. I say tried because I'm not perfect and I've messed it up from time to time. I'm not proud of that, but I have to admit that it's true. But on the same hand, I have also tried to do what Jesus wanted. And in return for my efforts, he has graced my life with his presence many, many times. He's brought joy to my heart when circumstances wouldn't have expected that. He's given me wisdom to keep my mouth shut at times and to open it and say something. I don't know how God has worked in your life. That's between you and God. But I do know if you're seeking to do what he said, i.e., the stuff in the Bible and the New Testament you should read, if you're seeking to do that, he says he will come and live with you and me. Now that sounds like a pretty good deal to me. You get the creator of all creation to come and be a part of your life. And all you have to do is ask him in, do what he says. It's really pretty simple. If you haven't done that yet, I'd encourage you to try it. If you did it a long time ago, then I'd encourage you to renew that decision. If you really want to know what joy and wonder and life is all about, you can't find that outside of a relationship with the God who created all this in the first place. What do you think about that? Thanks for listening. Be back tomorrow, finish up this week. Hope you've had a good week. Hope you'll have a great day today. If you have a concern or a need for something, let us know. We'll do whatever we can as fast as we can to help meet your needs. Thanks for listening. You take care of yourself, and I'll be back tomorrow with another idea.